In the 1990s, Marvel, the home of Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the X-Men, was bankrupt. The universe that inspired millions was moments away from collapsing. Yet from the ashes of failure rose one of the greatest comebacks in entertainment history. What began in a tiny New York office in 1939 as Timely Comics would transform into a cinematic empire worth billions. But Marvel's journey wasn't a straight path to glory. It was filled with creative battles, corporate chaos, and risky gambles that nearly ended it all. From pen and ink to pixels and premieres, this is the story of how Marvel rewrote its destiny and changed Hollywood forever. The question is, how did they pull it off? Long before the billion-dollar movies and red carpet premieres, Marvel's story began in a tiny New York office in 1939. Under a different name, Timely Comics. The world was on the brink of war, and readers craved heroes who could inspire hope. From that spark came the Human Torch, Namor the Submariner, and the patriotic powerhouse, Captain America. A hero who punched Hitler on a comic cover before America even joined the war. These colorful pages weren't just entertainment. They were a rallying cry for courage and imagination during dark times. But as the war ended, so did the age of capes and shields. The heroes faded, and so did Marvel's light. The company that once fueled dreams was suddenly struggling to survive, until a new era of creativity would soon bring it roaring back to life. When World War II ended, the world changed, and so did its heroes. Readers who once thrilled at Captain America's punches now wanted romance, mystery, and horror instead of patriotic crusades. Timely Comics, once a powerhouse of imagination, found itself lost in a fading spotlight. By the early 1950s, superheroes were nearly extinct, and the company, now renamed Atlas Comics, was scrambling to stay relevant. The bright optimism of the Golden Age had dimmed into uncertainty. Atlas experimented with every genre, from cowboy tales to monster stories, but nothing could recapture the magic. Sales plummeted, and the dream of heroic storytelling was slipping away. Yet buried in that struggle was a spark waiting to reignite. One writer, tired of the ordinary, was about to revolutionize comics forever. His name? Stan Lee. And he would change everything Marvel stood for. By the early 1960s, comic books were losing their voice until two creative minds decided to rewrite the rules. Stan Lee, a restless writer on the verge of quitting, and Jack Kirby, a visionary artist with cosmic imagination, teamed up to spark something extraordinary. Together, they didn't just create superheroes, they created people who happened to be heroes. The Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Hulk weren't gods or perfect icons. They were flawed, emotional, and human. Readers saw themselves in their struggles, and suddenly, comics felt real again. This was the birth of the Marvel Universe. Interconnected stories, complex characters, and a new kind of heroism that captured an entire generation. But with great success came even greater challenges. And soon, Marvel's biggest strength would test the limits of its creators and its future. Marvel had done what no one else dared. It made heroes human. Spider-Man worried about rent. The X-Men faced discrimination. Iron Man battled his own demons. These weren't just comic book stories. They were reflections of real life disguised in capes and color. Under Stan Lee's vision, Marvel became the voice of a new generation, bold, emotional, and socially aware. Readers didn't just follow heroes, they connected with them. This formula, blending fantasy with authenticity, turned Marvel into a cultural phenomenon. The 1960s and 70s saw fans forming communities, conventions, and movements that celebrated this new kind of storytelling. But behind the success, tensions were growing. Creative ownership, corporate politics, and a rapidly changing world would soon shake Marvel to its core, leading to both an explosion of creativity and the seeds of its darkest era yet. By the 1970s, Marvel was unstoppable. Its heroes filled every newsstand, its fan base was exploding, and its universe seemed endless. New characters like Wolverine, the Punisher, and Ghost Rider joined the ranks, giving readers edgier, more complex stories. Marvel even expanded into television and animation, bringing its heroes to life on screen for the first time. Comic conventions began to rise, and fans proudly called themselves true believers. But with growth came pressure. Deadlines tightened, creative burnout spread, and competition with DC was fierce. Marvel's storytelling brilliance sometimes clashed with corporate decisions chasing profit over passion. The cracks were small but growing. As the industry entered the flashy 1980s and speculative 1990s, Marvel was about to face a dangerous temptation, one that would make them millions at first and nearly destroy them after. The 1990s began with glitter and hype. Collectors bought comics by the dozens, believing they'd one day be worth fortunes. Marvel leaned into it, flooding the market with variant covers, flashy art, and endless crossovers. For a moment it worked. Profits soared, and Marvel looked unstoppable. But the bubble burst fast. Oversupply, declining quality, and market fatigue crushed the comic industry almost overnight. In 1996, the unthinkable happened. Marvel, home of Spider-Man, and the X-Men filed for bankruptcy. Artists and writers left, sales collapsed, and its future hung by a thread. The company that built heroes was now fighting for its own survival. Yet in the ashes of collapse came opportunity. A handful of risk-takers inside Marvel had one last idea: to bet everything on the power of its own characters. With bankruptcy looming, Marvel made a daring gamble. Instead of relying on others to tell their stories, they'd take control. The company began licensing its characters for films. Blade, X-Men, and Spider-Man became unexpected hits, proving that Marvel heroes could dominate Hollywood. Suddenly, the world saw comic book movies not as risks, but as gold mines. Yet behind the success, Marvel still didn't own its cinematic future. Other studios did. Determined to take back control, a small team led by Kevin Feige and Avi Arad formed Marvel Studios in the early 2000s. Their goal was bold: build an entire universe on screen, starting from scratch. But to do it, they'd have to bet everything on a character no one believed in, a hero the world had nearly forgotten. That hero's name was Tony Stark. In 2008, Marvel rolled the dice on Iron Man, a risky film starring Robert Downey Jr., an actor once written off by Hollywood. Few expected success, but when the first repulsor blast hit the screen, everything changed. Iron Man wasn't just a movie, it was a statement. It redefined superhero storytelling with grounded emotion, humor, and heart. The film's post-credit scene, a simple line from Nick Fury about the Avengers Initiative, sent shockwaves through pop culture. Marvel had done something revolutionary. It launched an interconnected universe where every film built toward a bigger story. The Marvel Cinematic Universe was born, and audiences couldn't get enough. But this was only the opening act. The next decade would push Marvel from hitmaker to history maker, culminating in one of the most ambitious finales ever filmed. What began with Iron Man exploded into a phenomenon. Marvel's shared universe grew into a storytelling empire. From the Avengers to Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Doctor Strange, every film felt like a piece of a massive puzzle. The stakes rose higher with each phase, weaving humor, heartbreak, and heroism into one cinematic tapestry. And at its center stood a looming threat: Thanos. When Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame arrived, the world watched history unfold. Billions at the box office, tears in theaters, and a finale that felt like the end of an era. Marvel had done the impossible. It turned comic lore into global mythology. Yet even as the Infinity Saga ended, one question remained: how do you top perfection? The answer would define Marvel's future in a changing world. After Endgame, Marvel stood at the peak of pop culture, yet also at a crossroads. The heroes who built its empire were gone, and the studio now faced the task of reinventing itself for a new generation. The arrival of Disney Plus opened doors to deeper storytelling through series like WandaVision, Loki, and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But with new horizons came new hurdles: creative fatigue, shifting fan expectations, and fierce competition. Still, Marvel's greatest power has always been evolution. From comics to cinema, it has adapted, reimagined, and redefined storytelling for every era. As it expands into the multiverse saga, one truth remains: Marvel's story is far from over. The next chapter won't just celebrate its past. It will test whether legends can be reborn in a universe without limits.